everyone, it's Kerry back with you today. For today's tag session, I'm going to start out with some Lindy's sprays. I've got some green and brown tones here. I've also got a water sprayer, and then this is just a piece of regular copy paper that I've torn in half. So to begin, I've got a spray tray here. This just protects the outside area of my desk from getting sprayed. I've popped one half of the torn piece of copy paper in here, and I'm just going to give it a really good spritz with water. And then I'm going to start applying some of my Lindy sprays. Now this is going to be my background paper, so I don't want it too dark, so I'm going to start off with something a little bit lighter and just build the colour till I'm happy with it. So I'm pretty happy with that mix of colour there. I'm going to add just a little bit more water so that the colours can move very easily. Then I'm going to take my other half of copy paper and give that a good spritz with water as well. And then I'm going to place the wet side down on top of the coloured paper that we've sprayed in the tray here. Now if you get lots of overspray, you can keep that in the bottom of your tray and just use another piece of paper to mop that up, and then you'll have another background paper for something else later on. So when I peel my two papers apart, I've now got two pieces of paper that have the colours mixed on top of them. So I'm just going to dry those off. So now I have my nice dry pieces of coloured copy paper here, and I've got some nice watermarks on these pieces where the spray was moving as I was drying it, and I quite like that effect. If you want to have a more smooth effect, you can dab your papers with paper towel as you're drying them, and then you won't have the same amount of watermarks. So for the bases of my tags, I've got this old piece of file folder, and I'm going to use that for my base. I've got enough here to make 6 tags, but we'll just make 3 for now. I'm going to split this piece of copy paper roughly evenly into 3, and I don't care whether it's perfect or not because I'm just going to be tearing it, and then I'll fold that one in half and tear that one as well. And I'm going to adhere these down onto my file folder, leaving a little bit of space in between so that I can cut down my tags. And I'm just going to use a glue stick to adhere it down. So now I've got my 3 pieces of coloured paper adhered down onto my cardstock or file folder here, and I'm just going to go and cut these out, and I'm just going to leave, I'm not going to measure it, I'm just going to eyeball it and leave a little bit of a border around the edges of my tags. So I'll be right back. So I have my 3 tags all cut out here, and they look quite similar. I want to keep them all looking fairly similar so that they could be used in the same project. But I don't want them to all look identical, so I'm going to add some background stamping now with some Distress Oxide, but I'm going to work on all 3 at the same time. So I'm going to use, this is like a little Moroccan or damask type image, and I'm just going to pop that randomly over the top of each tag. And I'm not going to be trying to put it in the same place on each tag because I want them to be a little bit different. There we go. And then I'm going to add a little bit of text in brown ink. And I'm going to add that on top of the places where I've put the Moroccan sort of stamp. not completely over the top, but just close to where that is, so that I'm not blocking out all of my blank area. So that just gives me a little bit more variance there. And I know that I want these to sort of stay a bit vintage themed, but I want them to all look different. So I've selected a few different things here. So I thought that I could use a couple of botanicals on one tag. So I might just arrange those. And I don't mind the stark whiteness, but I want to just break it up a little bit. So I'm going to use a bit more ink. And I'm just going to apply it to the botanicals with a baby wipe in a dabbing motion, so I get a bit of variation there. So they're still quite light. Now I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue to attach these, just very lightly at the top. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of washi tape across the bottom of the stems to give the appearance that I've actually just attached them with washi tape. So that will do for my first one. Now for my second one, I've got some pieces of distressed cheesecloth here that I've coloured up with paint, so it's a little bit stiff, and I'm just going to arrange that sort of towards the left hand side going down, and I'm just going to attach it with a little bit of hot glue here and there. Just be careful with hot glue because you can get quite a nasty burn from the hot glue. Ask me how I know. You can get these little tools that have got like a silicone end on them, and that can be used to push the glue down, and obviously you won't burn yourself with those, and if the glue sticks to it, it will come straight off because it's silicone. And then I've got a little piece of fabric here that I think I might run straight down the middle there of that cheesecloth. So I'll just apply a little bit of glue on one end. Tap that down there. And I want the fabric to be a little bit sort of ruffled, not perfectly straight. There we go, and I'll snip off the excess when I've finished. Now what I've got here is a little layered butterfly that I've printed out and just layered up with a little bit of stitching in the middle, and this is from one of our digitals here, so I've actually cut this one from here and just layered that up there. And I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue on the back where my threads are, because I've left the threads on the back of the butterfly to be his antenna. So I put a little blob of hot glue, and then I can just sort of pull them into place while that glue is still wet. And then I'll just let that dry off, and then I'll trim these a little bit when it's dry. So to adhere my butterfly, I'm just going to pop a bit of hot glue in the middle, and that way his wings will stay free. And I'll just pop that there. And then once that's fully dry, I can bend those wings up, and then I'll get a lot more dimension from that. So I might just trim off some of these loose bits. And that's my second one there. And for my third one, I'm just going to do a little bit of collaging on here. And I'm just going to use a glue stick for my collaging. And I don't mind if my papers aren't fully stuck down. And I'm just going to do a little bit of stitching over the top of my collage on my sewing machine. So I've just run a little bit of stitching down there, and my sewing machine actually ran out of thread, so I do have some holes there, but that doesn't bother me. It just adds a little bit of extra texture there. And I've got one of these little faux stamps here, which is made with a white chipboard background and then just a digi over the top that I've cut out and attached. I'm just going to pop a little bit of ink around the edge. And then I'm just going to attach that with a little bit of hot glue. So to finish off my tags, I'm just going to add a little bit of darker stamping in black. And I've just got some various different number type stamps. And I'm just going to add a little bit randomly on my tags. There we go. Now I could punch holes in these and add some fibres if I want to, but until I know what I want to actually do with them and what project I'm going to use them for, I might just leave them as they are, because I could add just a piece of lighter coloured paper or something to the back, and then it could become a journaling card that I can pop into a pocket, or I can punch a hole, make it a tag, or I could actually attach another piece of cardstock to the side and then have it as a little book type flip open. So there we go, but thanks for joining me today with the little tag session. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you next time. Bye.